We talk weekly. We talk weekly. Yeah, yeah. We talk weekly. We talk weekly. We talk weekly. Yeah, yeah. We talk weekly. We talk weekly. We talk weekly. Yeah, yeah. We talk weekly. We talk weekly.
Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in to We Talk Weekly's After the Talk with WPPM LP Philadelphia.
Yeah, this is one of the hottest radio shows that talks Charles's favorite segment, love and relationships. Whatever. Gives the good news and the bad news. And of course, the latest in entertainment news with the sizzle.
Dope. So make sure you keep it locked to We Talk Weekly's After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on
106.5 FM.
Woo! What's up, y'all? Here we go. 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 What's up, y'all? It's your boy Charles Greg with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
and the beautiful. Here we go again. One more again. You on 4?
I'm on 4.
There we go.
See, you
Cletus.
wasn't
There we
on
go.
point.
Cletus.
Yeah,
that was me.
yeah,
I
okay.
eat that. I eat that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So that it's one of those things, man. We're gonna have an absolutely fantastic time.
Yes.
We got a lot of people that's, we got some people that's coming in. We're going to take a couple flicks. Shout out to TU in the building.
TU in the building.
That's right.
When you Temple made.
Temple TU made, right?
Yes.
And so we're going to have, so she's going to be in here, spending a little time with us, taking some pictures, getting some content of what we do. And then we have someone with whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for. We got a Mr. Isaiah Thomas.
Yes.
Man, I've been following this brother, man.
Yes,
so he's been doing some things
awesome
out
things.
there. Absolutely,
Yes.
for the community. For the
Yes.
community. Right? And so that's what we need. We need people out there really, for the community, really putting some work and really trying to make sure that our people, have a platform and have a voice and they are heard and not marginalized. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And then, of course, we got good news and bad news. Right?
And it's some good news and some bad news.
Of course it would be some bad news.
Gotta take the good with the bad.
Yeah, not always, man. I want some good sometimes, all the time, right? And then, of course, we got this sizzle.
Yes. Hot off the press.
Hot off the press. So we got
Yes.
a dynamic show. We got an interesting show. And I'm just absolutely excited about that. So before we get into all that, we're gonna cut to a break. We'll listen to some music. But before we go there, I just want to hear about y'all days. How was your day?
Sizzle.
Um,
A terrific Tuesday. I don't know if she's having a terrific Tuesday.
yeah, I mean, I'm having a pretty good day. I just
Finally!
Yeah, I'm having a pretty good day. I'm actually, just my office just moved, so
Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah, we're settling in, and it's like a
Finally.
different atmosphere, so that's awesome.
Oh, that's
And it's
Yeah,
not
I'm
too far
excited.
from here, the studio.
It's around the corner, so I'm
that's a great
excited
thing,
about
right?
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
if I
that's
have to-
hot.
Yeah. So
That's
if I have to come run around here
One
and
more
do
gig.
some things, I can kind of take care of some business. So I'm excited about that. How about you, Spark?
I woke up almost paralyzed. My slip disc was messing with me.
I slipped this.
My goodness.
I was like, oh my God, I got to roll out of bed. So it started off a terrible Tuesday. The pain subsides. So
Yeah.
it's going good. I'm always trying to be positive, but this morning I was like, Lord, help me.
Wow.
But I'm good now. So, but thanks for asking.
No doubt.
What a rough way to wake up.
It's that age thing creeping up. That's what it is.
no.
Like,
Don't
oh,
claim it.
Lord.
Don't claim it.
Nah,
Don't
claim it. Don't claim it.
nah. I'm
Don't
spry.
claim it.
Yes.
Fresh and
Yes.
spry.
Yes.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want you to go anywhere. Once we get back, we're going to have some good news and bad news, and then we're going to get into the sizzle. So, Lady Esther, what we got coming up?
Coming up next, we got Blueface by Tatiana.
Tatiana.
No, that is Tatiana by Blueface.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a new artist.
Oh, okay.
Tatiana by Blueface.
Tatiana.
I know that's right. So, y'all, I don't want y'all to go nowhere. We'll be right back, y'all, after this. Hello.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Lauren Sizzle, and you are tuned in to one of the hottest talk shows in the nation, We Talk Weekly's After the Talk. Make sure you tune in each and every Tuesday at 7 p.m., and you can listen anywhere. Just download the TuneIn Radio app. Look for WPPM 106.5 FM on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And I got some good news for you. You want to binge listen to our shows? Follow We Talk Weekly's After the Talk podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, and Spreaker. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out all of our amazing shows and event coverage. And follow We Talk Weekly on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And most importantly, keep it locked.
Bust it. Woo! What's up, y'all? This your boy Charles Gary with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
and the beautiful Classy Lady Sparkle is definitely in the building, man. And check this out, right? I will just ask, we never play that song ever again.
There are so many challenges going on around with that song.
I agree.
That song is actually like number 11 on the Billboard Top 100.
I hope we never
And
play
I
that
think
song
probably,
again.
yeah, probably because of the challenges that are like kind of keeping it going and making it, making it bigger than what it should be.
Okay.
But I'm like, those bars are
Trash. I'm saying it's trash. I'm sorry. I come from
They trashy
trash.
bars.
yes. See, I wasn't going to say it, but
Yeah, I say it. We could have put in Future or something. I even would have went for. I'm not even gonna go there. I never even said nothing. I ain't say it. You know what I'm saying? This your boy Charles Gregg with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful.
Classy Lady
This is
Sparkle.
WPPM 106.5 FM. We Talk Weekly's After the Talk, and we got good news and bad news. Spark holla.
Let me take y'all back. In the 1940s, poor young black girls from North Philly would stand on the street corners waiting for white women from prominent neighborhoods to hire them for housekeeping. Frida Woollinger, a white 45-year-old woman from West Oak Lane area in Philadelphia, hired Corrine Sykes, a black 20-year-old young woman from North Philadelphia. Corrine was petite, shy, and illiterate and diagnosed with hysteria. 3 days after Corrine was hired, police found Frida Woollinger dead from multiple stab wounds from a heavy kitchen knife in the chest, face, and one of her fingers were severed. Missing from her house was $50 in cash, $2,000 in jewelry, and a fur piece. Soon, Corrine Sykes was arrested for murder of Woollinger. Corrine told conflicting stories, blaming different men, and then she admitted she was the murderer. Although she retracted her admission, she then signed a confession. The judge at that time, known as the hanging judge, Vincent Carroll, sentenced Corrine to die in the electric chair. And this was in 1946. Corrine had to go to the electric chair, and she was only 22 years old. She was the very first woman to receive the electric chair here in Philadelphia. The Woodlinger's husband confessed to killing his wife and blamed it on Corrine, which was published in one of the Philadelphia newspapers. Unfortunately, no one can find that editorial. So many have said that this was Corrine didn't do this based on her size and the struggle and the magnitude of the killing of Frida Woollinger. So I just want people to know that this happened in Philadelphia for the first person at 22 years old. And they say she didn't even commit that killing.
Wow.
I wonder if that's a movie or a play. That would be something for somebody to create that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but some little known history fact.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
is
that was some
horrible.
bad news.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to lighten it up for all my
Thank
tree
you.
people out there. Should Philadelphia fully decriminalize marijuana?
Yes.
I think so. And,
Okay.
I'm going to let you get into the story, but,
Okay.
some things about that kind of irritate
This
me.
going
when
to
it
spark,
comes to,
no pun intended,
yeah.
the conversation. All right. The question might go to voters this year, but the final say will come when Republican-controlled state legislator. At-large Democratic Councilman Derek Green, the main sponsor of the legislation, said he hopes to have the question on the May 21st ballot as a chance for residents of Philadelphia to directly weigh in about the issue. If the proposal goes before the full city council, 2/3 of the members will have to approve it for it to happen. Andy Hoover, a spokesman for the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union of Pennsylvania, Hoover said it's time to end the criminalization of marijuana. He added, the war on drugs has been an utter failure, and marijuana prohibition has unfairly and unnecessarily damaged thousands of lives.
Yes.
I know it has in my family.
Yes.
Governor Tom Wolf has said he is open to considering the legalization of recreational marijuana. Recreational marijuana is legal in 10 states and the District of Columbia. So that's some good news right there. That it might be legal for recreational use here in, the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection.
Yeah, and what would be equally awesome too would be, with the criminal justice reform and the initiative that's going on around that.
Right.
There are so many people that I know that have, they have 10 years probation that keeps getting put back on over possession of marijuana
but
that they had like 10 years ago.
Why is it that now that corporate America is okaying it, it's now we need to make it legal? But before, when it was recreational, it was like, no, lock them up. So
was that a rhetorical question, or you want to answer?
It's rhetorical.
I figured that. Because we know the answer too.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
It's so many people, and it just kind of makes me mad. Like when you find out that somebody's like on probation, like they, and then when they get on probation, they take probation for something small like that, and then it turns into 10, 15 years probation. That
folds into the whole, prioritizing for jails and the money and, each prisoner being a certain amount of money. So it all has layers.
And the governor should be trying to make some pardons for some of these people that want to get off of probation
and
due to a possession of marijuana that they had 20 years ago.
I'm not gonna get on my soapbox right now because we don't have a lot of time. But what I will say, I had the opportunity to stop by Derek Green's kind of like his kind of re-announcement party that he's running again.
Okay.
Right? Okay. And so I want all my people who's watching, I want y'all to take a look at this. But in the meantime, let's jump into the sizzle. You ready to go for the sizzle?
Yeah, we can go right into the
sizzle. Spark. I appreciate the good news and bad news. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. All right.
There
it is. It's hot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do have to continue in the direction of the bad news a little bit because I want to send a rest in peace to actor Luke Perry.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he passed away after suffering a massive stroke. He was surrounded by his fiancée, children, and some of his close relatives. So, he's, of course, everybody knows that Luke Perry is famous for his role on Beverly Hills 90210.
And my first white boy crush, besides Kirk Cameron.
Yes. He was such. He was
God. Stop.
Dylan
died.
From 90210.
The bad boy.
90210.
What?
I ain't really watched that.
Oh, y'all need.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then Melrose Place,
I didn't watch that either.
When that was on, I was watching the Huxtables.
Yeah.
I was watching A Different World. I was watching that.
We watched them too. Yeah. They don't know what they was missing.
Yeah.
So holla at me, Sizzle.
So has anybody seen the HBO Leaving Neverland documentary? Has anybody seen that?
Leaving Neverland.
It came on, it was on Sunday, and then Monday it was like a 2-part, which unfortunately we were out in the field, we were working, grinding, so we weren't able to catch it. Yes.
Oh, that's why I missed it.
Yes. That Sunday night when it came on, and then Monday, it was kind of busy too. So I kind of missed it, but I'm going to try to catch up on it because, they're saying like people that didn't see it have a different outtake from people that saw it. But, from the looks of it, Oprah Winfrey, she's getting some nasty
She's getting drugged
backlash.
right now.
Wow.
Yes.
What did she have to do with it?
Well, she decided that she was going to interview the two accusers, Wade Robson and James Safechuck. They were the two accusers from the documentary. So
she endorsing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is she weighing on either side? just interviewing doesn't mean.
Well, go ahead, finish your
that's
story,
true.
then we jump
Yeah.
in.
So a little bit of background on the story itself. NBC News kind of describes the documentary as consisting largely of the testimony from Wade Robson and James Safechuck. And then they were talking about what happened to them. Wade's abuse allegedly started when he was 7, and James started when he was 10. And then there's interviews from both of their mothers and then family members and descriptions of the trauma it caused them during adulthood. So that's basically what they're showing throughout the documentary. So on the flip side, both Wade and James, previously told authorities that there had been no sexual misconduct between Michael Jackson and them two. They both testified. Wade Robson even testified
a few times.
Yes. He even testified on Michael Jackson's behalf during his 2005 molestation trial. Both have filed lawsuits, which were dismissed because the statute of limitations expired, but they filed an appeal for their lawsuits. So during Oprah did the interview following the documentary of the two guys. And then during the interview, she's saying, like, for me, this moment transcends Michael Jackson. It's bigger than one person. This is a moment in time that allows us to see this societal corruption. And NBC News also reports that Oprah, she praised Dan Reed, which Dan Reed is the director of Leaving Neverland. So she basically praised him for him being able to kind of illustrate this 4-hour, that was the length of the documentary, the 4-hour documentary, which she tried to basically explain over the course of 217 episodes from her own talk show, Oprah, where she focused on sexual abuse. So she just like basically, praised him, like, she did 217 episodes on Oprah where she talked about sexual abuse, and he was able to basically do it all in 4 hours. So she's kind of like praising him, which people are like so upset about that. But Oprah, of course, Oprah in the past, she revealed that she was a victim of sexual abuse as a child. So everybody kind of knows that. But the backlash that she got from Michael Jackson fans.
So
hold on, let her finish her story. Finish your story, and then because this is a long story, so we will have the opportunity to talk to it. Go ahead.
Well, Michael Jackson fans, they were tweeting some nasty stuff. Okay, they were saying stuff like, "Oprah, you're disgusting. A cheap mercenary. Karma will punish you. Hashtag MJ innocent. Michael Jackson, we will fight for you. Oprah is a F expletive pig. F Oprah." Like Oprah is a F expletive jack.
We get it.
For this hashtag Leaving Neverland bull. May she reap the karma of attacking a dead man. Oh, it was worse. It was worse than that. So I just kind of like picked some of the things that weren't too harsh. But Michael, they talked to Michael Jackson's nephew, Taj Jackson, who was the son of Tito Jackson. He did an interview with TMZ Live where he talked about Wade Robson allegedly he keeps changing his story, is what Taj Jackson is saying. And then he also said that Wade was trying to get a job with Michael Jackson's One, which is the Cirque du Soleil show. It's called Michael Jackson One. He didn't get the job, so next thing you know, here comes this documentary. Taj Jackson is also saying that Oprah was never a friend to the Jackson family. She was never a friend to the Jackson family. And then you have Corey Feldman, who was friends with Michael Jackson when he was a child. And he said he watched the documentary and he was just basically like, he kind of, the experience was similar up until they got to the point where this sex abuse occurred. And he was like, that's when it goes, instead of it being Neverland, it's La La Land. It's what Corey Feldman is saying. And then he's like, MJ never spoke anything to him about sex other than warnings about how sex was scary and dangerous. And Jermaine Jackson, he even tweeted that the media and Oprah were blindly taking Neverland at face value, shaping a narrative uninterested in facts, proof, and credibility.
Wow.
Go ahead, Lady Asta. What you got?
I don't have anything. I was just trying to get clarity on, were they upset because they felt like Oprah was saying that he did it?
Well, some people were saying because like she seemed like she was leaning more so towards the side of the two men that are saying they were sexually abused.
Well, because you can't take anything away from the accusers, because if it really happened, you don't want to make them feel like, they're lying. That's awful to make them feel that way.
Right.
And honestly, do we really believe that Michael Jackson didn't do anything?
Some do.
Honestly?
Yeah.
I mean, because, okay, he's Michael Jackson. A lot of people feel like, oh, it's Michael Jackson, he can do no wrong. But we all watched the interview when he was like, I'm Peter Pan. I don't see anything wrong with sleeping with little boys. They're my friends. Like, in his mind, he didn't, his mind wasn't right.
Yeah.
So what he was doing, he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. But that doesn't mean he wasn't doing anything wrong.
Right. So this is what I say. They didn't prove anything when it came to Michael Jackson.
No, they didn't.
So I'll just leave it there, right? So if we're just saying that justice is blind, right? We had Teresa Brunson here. Justice is supposed to be blind. If he wasn't accused of anything based on that, how is Oprah going to take a platform and kind of say like, yo, this is what really or allegedly happened, right? So this is what I'm getting, because I did this.
I think she was just giving them a platform to tell their story.
Right. So this is what I believe is the issue, why people have issue with Oprah. Not just because she did the interview, because if they came here, we would have did the interview. I think the problem is the position she took against Michael Jackson and saying, which this transcends anybody. Like, if you did this, you need to be drugged. Like, I believe if you're a pedophile, I believe that's almost the worst thing you could ever do. I believe you need to burn.
Yes.
Like, I pull no punches with that.
Yeah.
Kids are innocent. Period.
And they're helpless.
And but my point is, when it comes to Oprah Winfrey, you had somebody that was a huge friend, a big friend of Michael Jackson. She's a friend of Weinstein. She sided, not necessarily sided with him, but she ain't say what Weinstein. I can't say his name. I don't know, but she didn't say anything along the line of that. She didn't interview nobody about that. She didn't do anything about that. When it comes to Michael Jackson, though, she put somebody on her platform and then kind of was like, well, Michael Jackson, this is bigger than Michael Jackson, which it is.
Yeah,
but it's kind of like, yo, how did you take such a strong side against Michael Jackson? And y'all used to be like almost best friends.
Well,
but when it comes to Weinstein, Harvey, you don't say anything at all. You're quiet. So if you're going to be a true journalist, you have no feelings. All you do is report the facts, period. Because now you're doing yellow journalism. We're all journalists here. So if we're going to say something, unless you say allegedly, we only report facts. That is it.
And then
but anybody who's been watching Oprah knows that Oprah is very sensitive and takes this type of thing personal because of what happened to her. So she always jumps to that side.
That's my point.
She always jumps to that.
That's my point.
Her whole audience
she ain't never been.
I understand.
She's never been journalist and just biased. She's always jumped to that side.
Right. So the point is don't be biased at all. The same way you stood on a pedestal right now and talking about Michael Jackson, you didn't do that when it came to Harvey Weinstein at all. You were quiet as a field mouse. I didn't see anything. So I'm just, again, this is not my platform, and I'm not taking any sides. I don't have a dog in this fight. All I'm saying is this is why I believe Charles Gregory believes they were so mad at Oprah Winfrey when it comes to this. So that's kind of my take.
Yeah, I feel like going into it, she already pretty much had her mind made up, because the audience that she had there was like mostly sexual abuse victims.
Right, absolutely. Which Harvey Weinstein is notably an abuser, period. Of women, period. Defenseless women, period. Because he's in a position of power, period. You're not supposed to use your power like that when it comes to
that. Might have been
marginalized voice.
That might have been some pushback for her to not do anything.
Did
with
the
him,
Weinstein dude mess with kids though?
I don't know.
I
just know.
So I think Oprah's thing is not about the Me Too thing and men, making women do stuff to get jobs and all that. Her sensitive issue is around kids being molested.
I'll just say it like this. Point taken, and I agree with that. And I also agree that if you're a pedophile, if you use your power against a marginalized section, group, constituents, however you want to put it, you should burn. Period.
Yeah, I'm just saying I think that's why she jumped, because you were saying she jumped on the Michael Jackson but not the Weinstein.
Absolutely.
But I think it's because it was kids that was molested, and she was a child who was molested.
Possibly, I don't know. So
yeah, so I mean, I guess we can always revisit that, because that may
It's a
probably
heavy
be a
story.
story, that it's going to continue. And I feel like a part of what she's trying to do is to expose the behavior. You know what I mean? People are saying like why she chose to do it with this. They don't know, because basically these, they were saying that he was not guilty of this. He was innocent at one point. And then, I even watched The Breakfast Club. And then Charlamagne was like, well, can we even believe what they're saying now? Because they testified under oath that he was,
when you tell one lie, all your truths become questionable.
Right.
And that guy is very questionable, and that's another reason why I believe people are mad. I don't think Oprah did her due diligence in doing a research in the background of this gentleman. And again, if justice is blind, and Michael Jackson was found not guilty. That's a fact. That's something that can't be debated, right? But if you have victims, oftentimes victims, man, they scared to speak up, and they should have a platform to be able to speak up. And so they're on Oprah show, and they should have been able to speak up if
And what makes me mad is the victims, the ones that are not really victims, but they're passing themselves off as victims, and they make it harder for the ones who truly are. So I hope that's not the case with this.
So shout out to the victims, man. Shout out to anybody who is suffering. Yes, all the survivors, man. Because I feel this is why we have a platform for this, to give people the voice to speak who don't have the ability to have a platform for that. And so that's why we're here. Period.
Yes. So Celebrity Sizzle Award of the Week goes to rapper actor Jaden Smith, whose Just Goods Foundation is joining forces with the First Trinity Missionary Baptist Church to institute a mobile water infiltration system in Flint, Michigan. Awesome. And this mobile water system, which is known as the Water Box, will reduce lead and other potential contaminants. Wow. This comes on the heel of the recent decline in bottled water donations for Flint, Michigan, whose water has battled contamination since 2014 and is continuing to
humanitarian. He get it from his mama.
Yes, and his papa. Yes, and she was there supporting him. So that's awesome. I'm your girl Lauren Sizzle, and that was the Sizzle.
And that was the Sizzle, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Charles Gregg with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
classy lady Sparkle.
This is WPPMLP 106.5 FM. We talk weeklies after the talk, lady. S. Dot. What we got coming up next?
Ariana Grande, 7 Rings.
That's right, y'all. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Hello.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl Lauren Sizzle, and you are tuned into one of the hottest talk shows in the nation. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk. Make sure you tune in each and every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and you can listen anywhere. Just download the TuneIn Radio app. Look for WPPM 106.5 FM on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And I got some good news for you. You want to binge listen to our shows? Follow We Talk Weeklies After the Talk podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, and Spreaker. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out all of our amazing shows and event coverage. And follow We Talk Weekly on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And most importantly, keep it locked.
Woo! What's up, y'all? This your boy Charles Gregg with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
classy lady Sparkle.
Classy lady Sparkle is definitely in the building, man. And like I said, when it comes to the interviews, I love the interviews. And why do I love the interviews? Because we get an opportunity to talk to the good old folks, the folks who are potentially doing some great things in the community, man. Not only in the community, but at large. Hint, 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 right? And so I have the opportunity to bring someone with whom, not only I have a tremendous amount of respect for. I've seen this brother when he put his head out there before. We're going to talk a little bit about what he's doing right now and hear what he's doing, hear his pitch, and why you should support this brother. So, Sizzle, who we got today? Who do we got today?
So we have Isaiah Thomas. He is a dedicated public servant from Northwest Philadelphia. He has committed his life to bringing a brighter future for all Philadelphians. Isaiah has worked in the nonprofit, public, and private sectors. He has served as an educator and associate dean of students at Sankofa Freedom Academy. He mentors high school students as the school athletic director and head basketball coach, and volunteers for organizations that advocate for communities of color, including the Mayor's Commission on African American Men and the Cambodian Association of Greater Philadelphia. He is the co-founder of the Thomas and Woods Foundation, which provides free summer programs for children across the city. And Isaiah believes our city government should work for all 1.5 million residents. As the director of community affairs for the city controller, he visited every neighborhood in the city to connect people with the resources to resolve long-standing municipal service issues and the tools to strengthen their financial education. Isaiah is a graduate of Penn State University and holds a graduate degree from Lincoln University. He lives in East Oak Lane with his wife, Kalissa.
That's actually right.
Yes, okay. and their son, Isaiah Jr. Welcome to the show, Isaiah Thomas.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Democrat
it. We'll make sure the bio
candidate.
is shorter next time.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We've had some books.
Okay, awesome.
We've had some books.
We try to keep it short.
So he's the Democrat. I just want to put this out there. He's the Democratic candidate for Philadelphia Council at Large for the 2019 primary on May 21st. Yes.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
There you go. Welcome to the show, my brother. Welcome
Thank you for having me.
show.
I had the opportunity to listen. You guys are talking about some amazing topics, so I'm happy to join the conversation and don't feel limited to just talk about politics.
I love that. I love that.
We can talk about entertainment, Michael Jackson, whatever y'all want to go with it.
I love it.
I heard y'all talk about marijuana. Listen, I'm following y'all lead.
So we're going to get in because we got a nice little bit of time. So we're going to jump right into it. We got about 20 minutes that we can try to get into some of the good old things. So before I get into all that good old stuff, since we're going to touch on some hot topics of the country and the nation, things that's going on, I'm going to talk a little bit about you, my brother. And you ran. Let's jump in first of all. Jump into you running. You threw your hat in the race prior.
Sure.
And so, what made you? What was the feedback that you got from last time, and what made you decide to run again this time?
So a lot of people don't know this is actually my third time running.
Oh, wow.
So the first time I ran, I was actually 26 years old. It was 2011. I decided to run in 2010. Right. And what inspired me to run was the lack of services and the lack of resources for youth and young people across the city of Philadelphia.
Right.
I had spent a lot of time working in schools as well as non-traditional academic settings and after-school programs and phenomenal summer programs like the Philadelphia Freedom Schools program. Mm-hmm. And once the school district of Philadelphia funding got cut, it impacted those social service-based initiatives. And so that inspired me to get involved in politics because I recognized right away that the decisions that elected officials were making were not in the best interest of poor people and people of color as well as our children. And so I ran for city council at large for the first time in 2011. And it was I like to call myself a theoretical practitioner because the whole campaign taught me that I had no idea what I was doing. While I understand politics and government, I had no clear understanding of how campaigns work and how to run a quality campaign. So the first time I ran was actually in 2011. I got my butt kicked. Had pretty good ballot position. My name's Isaiah Thomas, so clearly that helped. But I did lose, and I lost because I wasn't clear on how to run a quality campaign. So after I lost, I hit the ground running. On election day of 2011, I knew I was going to run again in 2015. So over the next 4 years, I spent as much time as I can, not just building my profile and my name ID, but connecting with different people that's already established in the political process, specifically becoming a committee person, volunteering for President Barack Obama, and getting involved in other local races where I can learn how a good quality campaign is put together. Mm-hmm. And so for me, running in 2015, that was my second time running. I actually came in sixth place. So before you had a Stacey Abrams or Andrew Gillum with the whole rundown and countdown, I went through that whole process myself in 2015 where I had to call days later and kind of just step out the race and say that I pretty much lost. So I know what that stuff feels like. And, again, I was inspired to run based on the problems and the ills that I seen being born and raised in the city of Philadelphia and recognizing that, the decisions that were being made were not in the best interest of not just poor people and people of color, but long-term residents.
No doubt, no doubt. So I want you to turn just a little bit.
Sure,
There
sure.
we go. That's a perfect.
I'm
shot.
a mover,
I
man.
know,
You know
me
what I
too.
mean?
Listen,
So
listen.
it's the professor in me. So.
Listen, listen. I got ADHD, so I'm
I'm not saying that.
I'm saying this is what I'm
not saying
saying.
that. I'm
This
not
is what I'm saying. So this is why I stand up. So I move a lot,
not
right?
mad. I'm not
And
mad,
so this is what I want to know, right? So you're running now. Your hat is in a race, and you're now trying to get your signatures. How do you believe you're looking right now on your signatures?
So I've run before, right?
Okay.
And the irony is I just tweeted earlier this week that the weather this year reminds me of what it was in 2010. It seems like Mother Nature knows when it's petition time, because when it's petition time, that's where you get your snow, your freezing weather, your
People stay in
rain,
the
and it makes
house.
it very difficult. But for me, I have a built-in political apparatus. This isn't my first time running. It's not my second time running. So we prepare for bad weather in the midst of collecting petitions. So I actually was the first person to file.
Oh, wow.
I probably filed 7 days after. I actually had the signatures by that Friday. So you started Tuesday. I had about 1,000 signatures by Friday, which is the required number. I ended up filing 1,500 7 days after the filing period started. So I've already filed 1,500 signatures. I have a total of maybe about 3,100 now, and I plan on filing as close to 5,000 next week when the period ends. And so for me, again, I have a built-in political apparatus. I've done this multiple times, not just for myself, but for people running for judge. If you're really passionate about poor people and people of color, you're really passionate about elections, you also recognize that it's not just city council, but judge matters a lot. Our children, I work with young people all across the city of Philadelphia. They're more inclined to come in front of a judge than their president or their mayor or even a city council person. So, for me, I'm passionate about putting quality people on the bench. And again, this isn't my first time dealing with the political process as it relates to petitions. And, we got a great team, a large volunteer base, and a lot of people who are excited, including my family, who does a great job. My family gets me more signatures than anybody between myself, my wife. Well, not my wife. She can't. Myself, my sister, my father, my mother, and some of my siblings.
Everybody come together. That's right.
Yep.
So we don't lose too much time. I want to get your pitch out. Why do you believe? First of all, let's talk about your platform first,
Sure.
and then I want you to give your pitch why people should vote for you.
So, for me, my platform is, when I talk to people about my platform, I say that when you run for council at large, you represent everybody. So you should be able to have an opinion and be able to talk about all issues. And I can talk about anything from criminal justice reform to tax reform to economic waste, to what it means to be a city employee, to pension reform, to future-proofing Philadelphia. All those are phenomenal ideas, phenomenal topics that I have different ideas as it relates to all of them. But for me, when I tell people about my campaign is about advocating for poor people and people of color and improving the quality of life for youth and young people across the city of Philadelphia. So I tell people all the time, a vote for Isaiah Thomas is a vote for our children. While I do think it's important that you could talk about every issue, I think a council person at large, because they're not in charge of land like the district council people, I think you should be an expert in a particular area. And for me, I'm an expert when it comes to our children. I've worked in education. I've worked in non-traditional settings. I'm currently a high school basketball coach. I know I don't look like it, but I've been coaching for 10 years now. I'm the president of the Coaches Association for the Public League, so I represent all public schools as it relates to sports, athletics, specifically basketball. And I've done so many different things. I'm the executive director of the Philadelphia Freedom Schools program. I co-founded my own organization called Thomas & Woods Foundation, where we have an annual operating budget of about $30,000 a year, and every dollar goes back into the community. We have no full-time staff members, and everything we do is for children, whether it's our free camp, whether it's the feeding of families that we do around Thanksgiving time, where we give anywhere from 300 to 1,000 turkeys every single year, whether it's the families that we feed around the Christmas holiday, or the scholarship money that we give on Martin Luther King Day for our oratorical contest. I'm really about the work as it relates to our children. And so for me, when people say, well, why should you vote for Isaiah? Why should why do Isaiah deserve to have the seat? Or how do you want to vote? Well, this is what I'll say. It didn't take Trump to become president for me to get involved in the political process. I'm 34 years old. If I am victorious with your support, I will be 35 when I'm sworn in. I decided to run for city council at 25. I've been working at this thing for 10 years. So you'll have a lot of people who's running for office. They'll talk to you about, Trump this, or, I decided to run. Look, man, I resigned from my job in January of 2018. My wife and I have been living on a budget for a year. This is serious. The decisions that we make as it relates to elected officials, they impact lives. And so for me, I didn't just decide to run I don't know. I don't know why other people decided to run, but this is a strategic and calculated plan. It's something that I've been working on for a long time, and I feel like the platform of city council at large will put me in a position whereas though a lot of the work that I've been doing, I'll be able to magnify it and do it on a much larger scale. And so for me, again, I tell people all the time, a vote for Isaiah Thomas is not just a vote for a candidate that's advocating for poor people and people of color, but it's a vote for our children. And again, I've sacrificed. I'll put myself in a position whereas though my family and I, we give up stuff. You know, I haven't collected a paycheck in a year. You know, how many candidates are going to come sit here and tell you, you know, I resigned from my job January 2018. Right. I spent all of 2018 fundraising, meeting with people, taking meetings and talking to folks to make sure that I had a credible campaign, because I can't ask you for a donation and it go to waste. I ended up raising about $95,000 last year, and that's good money. But what people don't realize is that the majority of my donations came from reoccurring and small dollar donations. So I had 375 people donate to my campaign last year. And if 375 people said yes, imagine how many people said no. You know, so imagine how much time I had to spend. Anybody that's in the world of philanthropy or fundraising, more people going to tell you no than yes. That's just how fundraising works. So, you know, that's the type of sacrifice that I've made to put myself in a position to be a credible candidate. And hopefully the constituents and the citizens of Philadelphia will say, you know, I feel like Isaiah is best equipped to represent us and to advocate for the change that we know we need to see.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
And so you got a question?
I do. So you mentioned something about criminal justice reform.
Sure.
And with the, you know, future of the children, or I guess like, trying to prepare for their future. What are your thoughts on criminal justice reform and the initiative that rappers like Meek Mill and Jay-Z are doing, like as it relates to creating future, you know, opportunities and I guess basically trying to create some type of equality in the criminal justice system?
Sure. So when I think about the criminal justice system, you know, again, I'm a product of the city of Philadelphia. I'm a product of the school district of Philadelphia, born and raised in the city, been here my whole life. A lot of my contemporaries have been involved in the criminal justice system. We call it the cradle to prison pipeline, because the only thing that this country guarantees you is a prison cell when you do something wrong. This country doesn't guarantee you anything else. Doesn't guarantee you a quality education. Doesn't guarantee you food or water. Only thing we guarantee you is a prison cell when you do something wrong. So when you think of this idea of the cradle to prison pipeline, I think the best way to address that issue is to prevent people from getting involved in the first place. And when I talk about this idea of advocating for poor people and people of color and improving the quality of life for youth and young people across the city, I'm pretty much trying to create a barrier to prevent people from going into the cradle to prison pipeline. And the best way to do that is to be able to offer young people the quality education and awesome resources. It sounds simple, and it is that simple, but it's complicated to implement. And a lot of times what happens is you got to have people who are on the ground that know the effective and efficient organizations, the credible organizations that need the funding to be able to put them in a position where they're that barrier to prevent our young people from falling into that pipeline. Outside of that, everybody's going to say they're for criminal justice reform. No one's going to say I'm for locking more people up. But it's also about, it's not just about what people say, it's about what they've done. So I talk a lot about prevention-based initiatives because that's what I've pretty much done my whole life. When you look at the Philadelphia Freedom Schools program, this past summer, we had 4 different sites across the city. Free summer program, over 400 children, reading and math curriculum, along with key pillars like social action, conflict resolution, civic engagement, and intergenerational leadership. So not only are we engaging the young people between the grades kindergarten through 8th, we're hiring over 30 high school students across the city of Philadelphia, as well as 30 college students across the city of Philadelphia. If I'm on council, I can put myself in a position to be able to advocate for more dollars for programs such as that. When the last time you heard a kid commit a crime at night when he had to wake up and go to a job the next day?
Right.
It's just not the common thread. A lot of the young people who are getting involved in negative activities is because they have too much idle time and not enough resources in their neighborhood. These are great kids.
About creating jobs.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, again, looking at what I've done, I spent some time in the controller's office, and one of my proudest accomplishments is the report that we did on cash bail. And so I have a great relationship with Kiera Bradford Gray, who runs the public defender's office, and she has been a strong advocate for a lot of the criminal justice reform that we see. And she was the first person to bring this idea to me of eliminating cash bail for nonviolent offenses, right? So think about it, right? If you stole something and I stole something, right? And let's say we did the exact same crime. Let's say you're a millionaire and I'm poor, right? They're going to give you bail and you get to be free while I'll have to sit in jail. But we did the same crime, which means I'm sitting in jail because I'm poor, not because of what I did. So what we did was we put a price tag through the controller's office on cash bail. And we found that the city of Philadelphia would save north of $50 million if we were to eliminate cash bail for nonviolent offenses. And if you look at what DA Larry Krasner is doing now and what he's starting to implement, he's been using that report as a way to be able to advocate for this idea of eliminating cash bail. And that's just one small piece in this idea of criminal justice reform and ending the new Jim Crow, which is mass incarceration.
So you approve of the work that Larry Krasner is doing? Right
For the most part, I mean, I do think that there's some areas of improvement. I don't think that what he's done is flawless. I do look at some of the things that's happening around Mumia. I do look at some of the issues that we see as it relates to criminal justice reform, and do see some holes. But overall, I do think we're moving in the right direction.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I just wanted to get your take on that. So I'm gonna jump in some harder questions. We only got about
harder
8 minutes
questions.
left.
Oh man,
you know, so not too hard. But I do want you to take, first of all, before we go into that, give me a quick 30-second on what exactly is the difference between city council and city council at large.
Sure. So city council is broken down. City council is broken down into 10 district seats and 7 at-large seats. City council is the legislative body that works with the executive branch of the municipality, right? So when you was growing up, they told you got the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. But what they didn't tell you was that you have those branches on 3 different levels of representation, right? So you have the executive branch on the federal level, which is the president. You have the executive branch on the governor, the state level, which is the governor. You have the executive branch on the city level, which is the mayor. But then you have the legislative level. So we all know in the federal, that's the Senate and the Congress. What a lot of people don't know is on the state level, that's your state reps and your state senators. But on the city level, that's city council. So city council is the legislative body that works with the executive branch, which is the mayor, to be able to decide all laws in the city of Philadelphia, as well as deciding how all city dollars are spent. So when you pay that soda tax, when you pay that sales tax, when you pay them wage tax, if you're an entrepreneur, when you pay that BERT tax or that use of occupancy tax, all that stuff goes to the city of Philadelphia. And I like to tell people all the time, when you decide that you're not going to vote, that's like going to the store, paying for sneakers and saying, well, give me the sneaker you want me to wear. That's like going to a restaurant and paying for dinner and say, I'll eat whatever you serve me. That's basically what it means to not vote. And so we have 10 district seats in the city of Philadelphia. Each district is represented by 1 council person. Then we have 7 at-large seats, and that makes up the total body of 17. 5 of the at-large seats are reserved for the majority party, which in Philadelphia are Democrats, and 2 seats at large are reserved for the minority party, which traditionally have been Republicans. But if you run as an independent, you're looking to get one of the minority seats. So I know I said that real fast, but that's the breakdown as far as the legislative branch of city government, specifically city council.
That's great, because we only got about 5 more minutes. So check this out. So I want you to give me 30-second answers on some of the questions that I'm gonna ask you.
Go.
Now, we already know about if unless you was living under a rock, you understand the situation that's going on with the Black and Brown Coalition and Janie Blackwell. What's your piece on that?
That's a tough question.
That's a tough question. We're talking about, someone who has been part of city council for a long time.
So this is my thing. All right. So let me say the Black and Brown Coalition. As far as their advocacy for councilmanic prerogative, I see the pros and I see the cons. One thing I will say, I'm not quite sure what happened that day, but I'm always for respecting our elders. And what I will say is this: I've seen some of the memes about Janie Blackwell, and I've seen some of the way that she's been mocked. And my thing is that, nobody does that to Councilman Brian O'Neill, right? I seen a picture of Councilman Brian O'Neill, and he was standing next to Wilson Good Sr. and Wilson Good Jr. when Wilson Good was sworn in. He was in council. Wilson Good Jr. was in high school. Wilson Good Sr. was being sworn in as the mayor. Wilson Good Jr. went on to college, got a degree, served 16 years on council, and has since stepped down. O'Neill's still on council. He's been there almost 40 years. I'm 34.
Wow.
So in the midst of us asking for people to step down and saying people have done stuff, I'm always conscious of how we hold black people to a different standard than those who are not in our those who are in our counterpart. So while there are some issues with councilmanic prerogative, I do recognize that as well. I'm not in Janie Blackwell's district, so I'm not sure exactly what the issue is as far as gentrification. But I do know that that's been the issue that's been raised. I'm always going to be for respecting our elders, and I'm always going to be conscious of how we treat black elected officials compared to our white counterparts. So I see right on both sides. Right. I see wrong on both sides. But for me, I come from African-centered space, and I always come from a space and a place where we always respect our elders. So there's nothing wrong with challenging somebody. There's nothing wrong with supporting another candidate. There's nothing wrong with a democracy. But I do think there's something wrong when people feel like they're not being respected.
Absolutely. Great question. Great answer. So another quick question. So, geez, we run out of time.
My bad. I'm going as fast as I can. But that was not a 30-second.
No, I understand that. That's perfect. That's perfect. So let's talk a little bit about, because you talk about gentrification, right?
Sure.
What's your your thoughts on giving tax breaks to the super so-called rich and going into certain neighborhoods, and then you have people that's supposed to be creating affordable housing, but then you have people that can't even afford kind of like the taxes now, since prices went up. What's your thought on that?
I mean, I'm a lifelong Philadelphian, born and raised in the city of Philadelphia. My bio say Northwest, but if you're from Philly, you call that uptown. And for me, for us uptown, we don't have the issues of gentrification, but we recognize that those issues exist in North Philly, South Philly, and Southwest. So I'm all for the tax incentives that exist, and I think they should be expanded as it relates to long-time residents so they can have an opportunity to keep their home. But I also think we need to get rid of the 10-year tax abatement. There you go. I think we need to restore the 55% that go to the school district of Philadelphia like yesterday. When I ran in 2015, I said literally the same thing. And then we need to find a responsible way to restore the 45% that goes to the general fund, and make sure that we're doing it in a way that doesn't create any issues that economists will be able to predict. So when I say get rid of the tax abatement, I talk about it in a responsible way, because I worked in the controller's office. I recognize when you get rid of a tax like that, it's going to create a ripple effect. So while I've been advocating to get rid of the 10-year tax abatement, I'm also a no new tax candidate. I don't think it's a good idea for us to continue to tax our way out of problems, because often as people of color, when these taxes come up, we end up being a demographic that ends up paying the brunt of the tax. So while the 10-year tax abatement is not an example of that, I do think other taxes are. And again, I think we need to get rid of that 10-year tax abatement. And I think we need to find a way to get the big businesses. Some of the anchor procurement, initiative is one that we talk about, but we need to find a way to get big businesses and big organizations and the pilot organizations in the city of Philadelphia to pay their fair share too.
Good answer. One more quick question, and then I need 30 seconds. It seems like it's about 30 people that threw their hat in for this situation.
Let me just answer that question before you even finish it, right? So this is the thing. I ran in 2015. And when I ran in 2015, we had 10 people who run for city council at large who raised $250,000. That means 5 people who raised $250,000, including myself, lost. I respect the fact that people have the right to run, but the honest to God truth is there are not going to be 10 people that raise $200,000 this year. And I think one of the things that separate myself is that I've run, I've shown I can raise money, and I've shown I can win even with bad ballot position.
How can they get in contact with you, all your stuff?
Sure. So on Twitter, my name is Candidate Thomas. My name is spelled candidate. And then the last name Thomas, Thomas. On Instagram, it's Isaiah Thomas 4 Philly, ISAIAH, the number 4. Isaiah Thomas, the number 4, and then Philly. And then on Facebook is so hard to find because there's so many Isaiah Thomases. So I just encourage people to search for Citizens, the word 4, Isaiah Thomas on Facebook, and then you can follow my campaign that way.
There you go. Thanks for coming out. Really appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Listen, it's about this. Look, we're for the people who are for the people. We don't endorse anyone. We're for the people who are for the people. And if you're for the people, most likely you're going to garner our vote. So think about that. So unfortunately, we got to go, ladies and gentlemen. We Talk Weekly After the Talk podcast is on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spotify Spreaker. Make sure you follow us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spotify. Binge listen to our shows. Like and follow us on our We Talk Weekly Facebook channel. Download the little tune in and look for WPPM up P106.5 FM. Check this out. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at We Talk Weekly, at Charles Gary, at Laura _ so at Sparkle Prices 1. Subscribe to Talk We Talk Weekly YouTube channel. And if you're in Philly, catch us every Monday night, 9:30, contact 66 Fridays, 5, 29 and 30. We Talk Weekly is now available on Higher Than 7 TV. Go to Higher Than 7. Subscribe. Look for our TV. We Talk Weekly. And check this out. We are now syndicated. You can find us nationwide. Shout out to Afro Philly and BG Network. We Talk Weekly is now syndicated. You can find us in Atlanta, Birmingham, Chicago, Delaware, Houston, Jacksonville, Los Angeles, Miami, Newark, New Jersey, New York City, and Philadelphia, and all across the nation. Who do you look for?
We Talk Weekly.
We gotta go. We out here like last year. And make sure, if anything else, you vote. Hello.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl Lauren Sizzle, and you are tuned in to one of the hottest talk shows in the nation, We Talk Weekly's After the Talk. Make sure you tune in each and every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and you can listen anywhere. Just download the TuneIn Radio app Look for WPPM 106.5 FM on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And I got some good news for you. You want to binge listen to our shows? Follow We Talk Weekly's After the Talk podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, and Spreaker. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out all of our amazing shows and event coverage. And follow We Talk Weekly on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And most importantly, keep it locked.